Welcome back to the Significant Coaching Podcast. I've got the incomparable Coach Dani Silva here, and she is the new head coach at Cameron University, NCAA Division II. If you didn't listen to part one, go back and listen to part one. And I'll tell you, if you want college athletics to feel a certain way, you want it to be authentic, you want it to be about love and trust and growth and development and family. I don't know if there's anybody going to do it better than you, Coach Dani, because you get that. It's who you are to the soul. And I'm excited to see everything you're going to do moving forward. But let's talk a little recruiting, shall we?
Shall we? Yeah. Thank you, Matt.
My pleasure. I'm going to take you back to your club coach days to start with. Okay. Because you had a ton of talent, including this fabulous young lady that's transferring in to play for you this year. Your daughter's going to come play for you. Talk a little bit about how you perceived recruiting from a club coach's perspective.
Recruiting, huh? It was, I got to say, it was new, right? Getting into that realm of all of that, right? Having to be on the other side now and trying to reach out to coaches. It was, I guess, at tournaments, a little overwhelming when all the coaches want to come and talk to them, right?
Right.
And so getting to know that process, talking to them, if they can talk to them, what age, right? If they're too young, when you have big middles, right? Of course, all the coaches want to talk to them, right? Because they're
Right.
6'4", you can't teach 6'4". And so all of a sudden, oh, I can use her, right? But knowing age wise. So I think for us with the recruiting process, we needed to learn those type of things where we can step out of it or not, right? Because we just thinking in Hawaii, yeah, we're just gonna talk to the coach. Yeah, no big deal.
Right.
Drop a conversation. Um, Knowing, I think, as far as the recruiting part of that is just having them see what our girls are about. You know what I mean? Like them understanding the way that Hawaii is and hoping that they will take what we're about and maybe turn around and love them. Having them understand that these kids need to be loved and that you're making a promise. Your promise is to take care of them. And I'm hoping that they can take that with them. So, like, as a recruiter coming in to understand that and knowing that kind of stuff and the promise you make to them is very big. So, for us in the recruiting process, is hoping that when we talk to the coaches, we can try and see that so that we can send our kids to somewhere we know that they're going to be okay.
Yeah. And that's why I know you're going to do more than well recruiting, because you're going to have families lining up. And the hardest thing for you in recruiting is going to be telling kids no. You're telling kids you don't have a spot here. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're definitely wrong. You're definitely right. Because for us, like, we had this one kid, and then when she told us no, I was like, oh, you know what I
It
mean?
breaks your heart, doesn't it?
Like, wait, what just happened here? But you know what I mean? Like, I was just like, wow, is that what it feels like?
Right.
Honestly, you know what I mean? And then he
Right.
was like, yeah, but you just got to move on. And I think
Yeah.
we're both in that situation because even when we do something wrong, or your word means something, right? So when you tell them something and then all of a sudden it's like, huh? She
Yeah.
just told me no. You know what I
Nice.
mean? Like so I think, yes, I think that's what it's going to be, knowing that you can't be fully attached at this moment because
Right.
you can show and truly love on them when they get here, but you
Right.
have to put your best foot forward. I get that part, but when they do tell you no, you're like, holy crackers,
Right.
she just
Yeah.
said
It
no.
can destroy your week. Yeah. Yeah. I put so much into this kid. I'd already envisioned how I was going to coach them. I already envisioned how they were going to play for us and what we were going to do with them. And now they're not coming here. Yeah. I tell kids this all the time because they're so afraid to call a coach and say, Coach, I'm sorry, I'm not going to come there. I said, this is just part of the job. A
Right.
college coach might talk to 150, 200 kids over the course of a year. They're not getting 150, 200 kids, and
Right.
we're going to have to say no to each other every once in a while. And that's part of this process. What are some of the things you saw college coaches do with your daughter and the girls on your club team that you were like, gosh, that made us feel good, that you just liked how they treated your kids or how they talk to them?
When I like that they come and they approach and they talk. Mainly they talk to Royden. And and I here and there they'll talk and communicate with me. But I like how they approach him, ask him, oh, hey, can I talk to you? I want to talk about so and so. But not full like some of the coaches that came across, it wasn't just fully business. You know what I mean? Like they could like ask how you're doing and this and that and wanting to know about the kids, which was good, which is what I like. As a process for my daughter, I like that the coach she reached out to us and said, hey, we're doing this, this, and this, and I'm going to meet so and so, but also gave them responsibility, like having to make sure they make initiative, you know what I mean? Knowing that they're the age that can be talking to the coaches. So giving more on them. How much do you want it? How much are you as a player and how much do you want it? You know what I mean? Like having to remind them, like, hey, Matt, did you reach out to them? Because she wants to know what court you're going to be playing on.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I like the process of when they're at that age where they can reach out to the kid, but also let us know what's going on. And now it's your job to just kind of like nudge you and be like, hey, did you do what you wanted?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think the way that they approach us and like want to have a conversation and get to know the kid,
Yeah.
and so we had experiences that were great like that. And some were just kind of like, I guess maybe it's their personality too, because some of them can be really brash. So it depends on, I guess, who comes across too. And then you have others like this is all they want, like real robotic.
Yeah.
Just like, you know what I mean? It's hard to have a conversation and let them know what the kid's about if they're not about that.
We'll talk a little bit about that other side. What are some of the things that maybe you learned that you're like, I'm not recruiting that way. I'm not going to be that person for a kid that I'm interested in. Are there some of those things that just clearly and you're like, I am not doing it that way?
I feel like you have to have a personality, right? You have to come across and you have to ask them, you want to know about them first, right? Instead of just like, okay, I'm looking for this and this and this, right? You'd be like, hey Matt, how are you?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean? You want to make them feel comfortable first before you give them a million questions and be like, hey, do you want to do this? Do you want to sign here? Do you want to do these things? For me, I look at it differently, right? I want to approach you and draw up a relationship and have a communication with you and openly so you're comfortable when you share with me. So I feel
Right.
like I would rather make an approach that way.
Yeah. Well, I think that goes back to your culture. We don't need a contract. We
Right.
can shake hands and have an agreement, and we know we're gonna do what we told you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does there have to be a signing day? Yes. If I tell you you're going to get this much scholarship, I'm going to make sure you get it. Yes, we're going to put that in writing, but it's that love and trust that we're going to be honest with each other, and but a part of that is getting to know each other before we even get that. Let's not worry about scholarship. Let's not worry about whether you're going to come here or not. Let's see if we like each other first, right?
And I agree, and I think that's what it is. And I think that if my husband, if we could just do a handshake all the time, he would love it. He just doesn't like to do paperwork. But
Yeah.
you know what
Yeah.
I mean? And I think that's a big plus, right? Because you've got to know if personalities are gonna mesh together.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I want to get into some advice for kids and parents and high school coaches and club coaches, but let's talk a little bit about how you watch games and how you visualize that when you watch, whether you're watching film or you're watching kids play live. What are some of those things that jump out at you from a skill set that get you excited about that kid, that makes you think, I can work with that kid, that kid can help us?
Look at basic ball control. That's a big thing, right?
Yeah.
Your techniques, right? What makes you positive and sometimes negative towards it, right? Movement, the passion behind it, your movements, if you're lazy or not, that kind of stuff, just your body language. And don't get me wrong, there's kids that can be where they look like they're lazy, but they're working hard. And it's
Right.
just because some people are just gifted that way, right? They're just made
Yeah.
to play volleyball.
Yeah.
Right. So it's something that you have to like constantly watch them and see and be like, oh no, they are working hard. So, when I look at the game, I look at body language, about ball control, your structure, how you carry yourself, if you are happy when your teammate makes a great thing, or are you only about yourself? You only, you know what I mean? That kind of stuff. I look at things like that.
Right.
Like if you only celebrate when it's you, Matt, versus me making a kill, you know what I mean? So that kind of stuff. And I watch it like over and over. Like if I watch film, I'm being like, and I think I analyze it too much, but I just want to see what and what and how you do things, right? I do if I watch if I watch live, then I watch your off on and off the court interaction. That's
Body
important to
language,
me. Yes,
relationships. Right.
absolutely. How you address your coach, how you address your teammates, how you address your parents. That's important to me
Me
because
too.
respect is big, right? So I feel like that's how I watch, just in a person you are. That just gives me more knowledge of what type of person you are.
Are you the type of recruiter that if you see something, you see all those things and you see it and you see it in the first set? They're holding their frame, they're high-fiving, they're treating everybody with respect. Can you let go of that, or are you all in on that kid if you see the things you love? Are you that type of, because I always struggle with that. There's coaches that'll watch a kid play 4 or 5 times. They want to see them over 6 to 10 months and repeat those things. And they don't really allow themselves to get attached until a certain point. How are you with that?
I'm a sucker. I'm one of those that are all in.
I am too.
I am. I'm like, no, and then my husband be like, he's a person on the shoulder, like, are you sure? And you're like, no, for real. Like, look, yeah, but this, and I'm like, yeah, but I think we could do. Yes, I'm one of those suckers that I feel
Yeah,
like if I have a connection and I feel like you have all of these things, because you can always teach, right? You can
right.
always you're gonna work on it and teach and change things based on your vision. But if there are where they have all the tools and you can work with it, I'm sold.
Well, it's what we do too. If you go to one of these events, and anybody that has a kid that's playing club volleyball knows what we're talking about. There's 110 courts,
Oh my
and you
Lord.
can sit there and watch game after game after game, and you're just like, oh, I just want to see this, and all of a sudden, a kid does it. Does all those things you're looking for, to go, oh, I've waited for 2 days for this,
like
right?
like where you been all my life?
That's right. It's love at first sight, and you can't get enough of it. I
I
love it. I had a
agree.
feeling you and I shared that. Yeah. But I
Yes, for
think it
sure.
also talks a little bit about how important your priorities are to you, that you know them very quickly when you see them, but you don't see them very often because you do have such high standards,
Correct. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, if you see a kid that has a lot of those things, but there's some things that you're unsure about, will you address that? Will you talk to the kid about, say, hey, I love this and this, but I want to see a little bit more of this out of you?
Yes, I would. And it's just so that not necessarily for me, but that would be for the next coach coming.
Yeah.
Right? Because you kind of have a line of what we all see, and especially if it's general, right? Like you need to work on facial expressions or you need to
Yeah.
work on body language, right? It's just like a tip for them because you might not work out in our program, but there is other programs out there that you will work in.
Yeah.
But just letting you know that this is what we want to see, and that's just being honest, to be honest, you know what I mean? Like, and that's things that all the coaches tell them, right? You gotta work, they weren't watching you off the court. Like every aspect matters. And to just give them a piece of advice, I think they should take it far.
Yeah. And it's one of the things now that I'm at 30,000 feet and I'm not coaching and recruiting my own program anymore. I can say these things that I'm sure I wasn't very good at them when I was a head coach. But there's times where I wish coaches would look at a kid, they'd watch their film and just send an email back and say, hey, we like you. Here's 2 things that we've got to see you improve. And I know that's so hard as a head college coach, especially if you're getting 100 emails a day, which you're going to start getting if you're not getting
Oh,
them
yes.
already. Is just taking that time to say, hey, right now you're not a good fit, but this is what we would need to see for us to reconsider you. And I
Yeah.
think kids need that because they're not getting that from anywhere else. there's nobody at the college level that's giving them feedback. So that's why I take it so personally. When a kid sends me film, I say, here's your reality. You got to do this and this. You do this really well, but you got to do this and this.
No, and I agree to that because you can
Yeah,
always respond and say that here's your reality, but then you can always back it up with, but that was a great you did a great dig or whatever.
right,
Still positive reinforcement, right? Just to know that they're not dead in the water, right? There's still positive things out of it, right? It's just that we need to tweak these. So I feel like for me that's something that I would always put my best foot forward with kids is that if we have to correct them, you always back it up with a positive.
right,
So, like I said, you're absolutely right. If we can email more of them, because a lot of them email and they get no response,
right.
right? Right? I mean, that's
Yes,
the reality of it, right? Because you just said there's so many out there, and some of them it just depends on how they take it, right? They're gonna take it and run with it and be better, or they're just gonna take it and sulk and just not do anything, and that's on them. But
that's
it's
right.
just trying to milk them better, right? To help them be better.
It's funny, and I want to get your perspective on this. I kids send me film all the time, and I get baseball film, I get football film, basketball film, volleyball, softball, you name it, I get film. Kids want it, mom and dad want me to evaluate them and give them the reality, and I love doing that. And I was watching film with a kid the other day over Zoom, and she sent me her film, and we got on Zoom just to watch it together. And I said, okay, I'm going to show you 30 seconds of you, and I want you to tell me, I want you to look at your film from a coach's perspective, and I want you to tell me how you would evaluate you. And we watched it, and there were 4 digs in a row where she dove or had to go to her knees or had to fall down to get it. She made the pass, hit her setter, you know. And I go, tell me how you would evaluate what you just saw there. And she goes, well, I think I did pretty good. I showed my hustle. I showed I can get to balls. And I go, I can probably show that 30 seconds to every college volleyball coach in the country, and they're all going to tell me the same thing. Can she make that pass without falling down? Can she stay on her feet? She goes,
Right.
oh, I didn't even think about that. How do you feel about that? When you see a kid really hustling, but it's because they didn't anticipate or they didn't get their feet there or they reacted late. Does that mean anything to you when you see them always going down to their knees or always having to dive for balls?
Yes, for sure. I think she forgot that we have these two legs and feet that we can use to get to the ball. And that's something that I always tell our club coach. I'm like, hey guys, we have these two things here that was given to us that we need to use to make it happen. And I feel like, and that I would have told her the same thing. Like, you can use these. And a lot of people don't use their legs to move to the ball, right? Because they feel like if I give that hustle, that shows that, oh, I'm amazing, right? Because I did that hustle. When reality, she could have made a better pass if she just moved her feet.
Right. Yep. And it shows their ability to anticipate. They know how to read
Correct.
the ball. They know
All
how to
of
read
that.
the set.
Yes.
They know how to read the swing.
Yeah.
And the more kids have that, the higher level they can play, the better they are at
For
that,
sure.
right?
Yeah, and it's just simple, right? Because volleyball is simple. I think in a world now they're just making it so dynamic and this
Right.
and that. And I'm like, it's just basics that we just need to take and utilize, and it just
Yep.
makes you better. Yeah.
Gotcha. Same idea from the pin hitter's perspective. Are the things that you see you're like, okay, that kid gets it. What are some things that get you excited about a pin hitter?
Okay, so you know that our base is always ball control. So for me, when I look at a pin hitter for outside, you have to be able to pass a ball, right? Because it's important, right? But the importance is to pass,
Yeah.
right? That's, play defense and then hitting comes to be. But we got to be able to do all the first two first, right? If we can't pass, we can't do anything.
Right.
So their ball control to me is the most important thing because that tells me that they're a six rotation player, right? Because this is first, passing is first. You got to be able to play defense and then you can hit the ball. The setter will put it out there, and I know you can do amazing things there, but I need you to do with the first ball contact. And
Right.
that's important to me. And that's what we see. And that's how, outsiders are not just anybody that can walk in the gym. Let's just be honest. Passing is hard, it's not very easy. You know, that's a very hard thing to do. The balls are coming the way people serve now. It's super competitive. So you being a passer that can be comfortable in your skin and be able to do it, then you're considered amazing. And you just can't walk in the gym and do that to
Right.
me. I feel like passers are given that gift to comfort the ball if they have to. You know what I mean? Don't move your arms, get around it, passing dimes if you have to. I just feel like you have that gift and it's hard to find them nowadays.
Yeah.
And it's very important. So for me, that's what I vision a pin hitter to be. I know it's a lot, but that just makes life easier as a coach because I know that I can put you out there and you're gonna do your job.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
so funny, coach, because I have the same conversation with basketball players. They'll send me film and I go, there's no doubt you can shoot it, but that chair right there, you couldn't guard that chair. So I can't recruit you. You can't
Yeah.
keep in front of a ball handler. And I think you've said it best with pin hitters. When you can swing, when you can really rocket it, it's great. But if I'm losing a point every four serves because you can't make the pass, it doesn't matter how well you can swing. You've got to be able to do both.
Yeah.
I love that. Um, let's give some advice to that 15, 16-year-old that really wants to play college volleyball. What would you tell them about communication with college coaches? What are some of the things that they should be doing to get a coach's attention or to get your attention?
Can I kind of like rewind a little bit and kind of
Please,
take a couple
please.
steps back?
Yeah.
Can I be where I, for us to be able to share that type of information, I want to know to share with parents and coaches that you need to understand that going to college is about an education and it shouldn't be based on if you're only going to play D1, right? All of these different levels of volleyball that's out here. Everything at the end of the day is for you to walk home with that piece of paper and graduate and you get an education, no matter which level you're at. So for me, recruiting wise, I have a hard time with people coming where I'm only should be D1. And I have a hard time with club coaches or high school coaches saying that no, you should only be playing D1. No, it's not about that. It's at the end of the day, it's you getting if you can, getting a scholarship to lessen the pay and take that burden off your parents. If it's a free one, even better. And then you can go get your education and you take that piece of paper home. So for me, I like to change the outlook for high school and club coaches. And it's a personal experience that I have. We coach with a great friend of ours. Before, he used to only say, no, it's D1 or nothing, where I think our world has changed in that. I think that's just too much of brainwashing. I want them to realize that your kid can go anywhere. And there's so many different levels of play. You know that. We can watch Texas, Nebraska. You know what I mean? Your kid might not be at that level, but that doesn't say that she can't accomplish at D3, NAIA, a JUCO, a D2 type of thing, a lower Division 1. But I just want to change the mindset to know that it shouldn't have to be about the division. It should be where you're gonna fit to play volleyball and you get your education.
Yeah.
So as far as recruiting wise, to share that with them, I want them to go in an open mind. I don't want them to go in knowing that if they're harpered by, oh no, you should only play at this level. No, there's great things you can get at any level. And I just want you to be who you are, share what you're about, work hard at everything you do, and then you'll shine that way and not having to know to pinpoint what division you want to be. Because in your mind, you may think you're at this division, but then in the world of volleyball, you should be here
Yeah.
because you're gonna do better. So I just don't like that way of thinking nowadays,
I agree.
right? You know
I
what I
agree.
mean? It shouldn't be about that division. It should be about getting there, play volleyball, have fun, and get a degree.
Well, it's the analogy that I use is you tell me you want to live in Paris, and that's the only place you want to live in the world. I want to live in Paris. Well, what if you live in a box in an alley and that's all you can afford? Do you still want to live there? What if you can't speak the language and nobody understands you or your culture? You can't find the things that you need. Do you still want to live there? Or you're not treated right. Do you still want to live there? So for kids, I think the advice you just gave is right on. Stop worrying about the division. Start thinking about what makes you happy.
Yeah.
Are you a kid that can learn in a lecture hall with 300 other kids? Or do you need a classroom with 12 to 14 kids where you have that professor's attention? So I totally agree. I don't think enough kids think about how they tick. And I
Yes.
think a lot of times it's the parents that are saying, we need this, we need the money, or we need, we've already put $50,000 into your club career. We need to get that money back.
No.
We didn't do
Yeah.
this so you could go to a D3. Well, that D3 might be perfect for that kid, right?
All right. And then, education wise, they might be amazing and they get all that scholarships, right?
Right.
Academically, right? And and maybe less stress. Maybe they want to play volleyball at a D3 and but be a doctor. I mean,
Yeah,
at the end of the day, the doctor is what it is,
that's right.
so I just feel like, just to give them advice, always to work hard, but just don't be so fixed on just one thing.
Right.
Broaden your horizons and put yourself out there. And that one person might come to you, it might even be D3, but they're going to touch your heart and you're going to love them forever. They're going
Yeah.
to make an impact on your life. Yeah.
I love that advice. How do you, if kids have done their research, they want to go to school in Oklahoma, they think Cameron's got their major, they want to play for you, how do you want kids to reach out to you?
They can call, they can email me, send me video. Um, I like when they do that, to be honest. Okay, this whole new recruiting thing, right? Having us go in the portal. But when they reach out to us, they send these great emails, and that tells a lot about them, right? How they structure, how they do, how they put themselves out there, the type of questions they ask, So I like receiving videos, and I always hope and pray that the videos are great and not so grainy. It just makes it easier for us to see you,
Right.
right? But I like when they reach out. Sometimes, like calling, I'm okay with that too. It's just that when the midst of all these things, I feel bad if I can't touch that phone call, but emailing is the best because then that's something I can visually see,
Yep.
and then you can write what you feel and how and it comes across, and it's just easier for us to get back to you that way.
Yeah. It's tough to return a phone call when you've been working all night and you finally get into bed at 10 o'clock and you got a chance, you can look at your email and go, oh, I can respond to this kid right now. Or I'm at the doctor's office waiting for 20 minutes to get my appointment. I've got some time to, it's hard to make a phone call back, but I agree with you. I appreciate that too. Any advice for club and high school coaches that are helping their kids with the recruiting experience?
Just be honest with them, like, let them know, reach out to the coaches, go to camps because they got coaches there. You know what I mean? People will be there. Coaches are there. I'm going to a Houston Skyline camp here in May. I'm excited. They're bringing kids in there, and then you can get feedback firsthand
That's right.
by coaches being present. If you can afford it, or if that's one of your things, if even if it's one camp a year, because that's what you can afford, go do the experience
Yeah.
to see what's out there.
It's chapter 2 in my book. My significant recruiting book is learning your value. It's hard to know where to call and where to look if you don't know how good you are and you don't know where your value is. So the more opportunities you can get in front of college coaches to get that feedback is so important to every kid. Coach, thank you so much for doing this. Gosh, I could talk to you all day. I'm so happy for you and Royden. I'm so happy for your family that you get to be together and you get to do this thing that you do so well and you love. So mahalo, and you've got me when you need me.
Thank you, man. I appreciate everything. You take care of yourself.